Oh, hi. How's it going? Today we're going to have another page of The Lord of the Rings. Right, so last time we had been reading till where it was talking about Mr. Bilbo's dad, Mr. Drogo. Now we're going to continue to the next page. "Oh, so they say," said the gaffer. "You see, Mr. Drogo, he married poor Miss Primula Brandybuck. She was our Mr. Bilbo's first cousin on the mother's side, her mother being the youngest of the old Duke's daughters, and Mr. Drogo was his second cousin. So Mr. Frodo is his first and second cousin. Once removed either way, as they say, is if you follow me. And Mr. Drogo was staying at Brandy Hall with his father-in-law, old Master Gorboduc, as he often did after his marriage, him being partial to his victuals, and old Gorboduc keeping a mighty generous table. And he went out boating on the Brandywine River, and he and his wife were drowned, and poor Mr. Frodo only a child and all. I've heard they went on the water after dinner in the moonlight," said old Noakes, "and it was Drogo's weight as sunk the boat. And I heard she pushed him in, and he pulled her in after him," said Sandyman the Hobbiton miller. "You shouldn't listen to all you hear, Sandyman," said the gaffer. "Who did not much like the miller? There isn't no call to go talking of pushing and pulling. Boats are quite tricky enough for those that sit still without looking further for the cause of trouble. Anyway, there was this Mr. Frodo, left an orphan and stranded, as you might say, along those queer Bucklanders, being brought up anyhow in Brandy Hall, a regular warren by all accounts. Old Master Gorboduc never had fewer than a couple of 100 relations in the place. Mr. Bilbo never did a kinder deed than when he brought the lad back to live among decent folk. But I reckon it was a nasty knock for those Sackville Bagginses. They thought they were going to get baggined that time when he went off and was through to be dead, and then he comes back and orders them off, and he goes on living and never looking a day older. Bless him, and suddenly he produces an heir and has all the papers made out of proper. The Sackville Bagginses won't never see the inside of Baggin now, or it is to be hoped not. There's a tidy bit of money tucked away up there, I hear tell," said a stranger, a visitor on business from Michel Delvin in the Westfarden. "All the top of your hill is full of tunnels packed with chests of gold and silver and jewels, by what I've heard." "Then you've heard more than I can speak to," answered the gaffer. "I know nothing about jewels. Mr. Bilbo is free with his money, and there seemed to lack of it, but I know of no tunnel making. I saw Mr. Bilbo when he came back a matter of 60 years ago, when I was a lad. I'd not long come prentice to old Holman, him being my dad's cousin, but he had me up at Baggin helping him to keep folks from trembling and trespassing all over the garden while the sale was on. And in the middle of it, old Mr. Bilbo comes up the hill with a pony and some mighty big bags and a couple of chests. I don't doubt they were mostly full of treasure he had picked up in foreign parts, where there be mountains of gold, they say, but there wasn't enough to fill tunnels. But my lad Sam would know more about that. He's in and out of Baggin, crazy about stories of the old days. He is, and he listens to all Mr. Bilbo's tales. Mr. Bilbo has lent him his letters, meaning no harm, mark you, and I hope no harm will come of it. elves and dragons, I says to him. Cabbages and potatoes are better for me and you. Don't go getting mixed up in the business of your batters, so you'll land in trouble too big for you. I says to him, and I might say it is to others, he added, with a look at the stranger and the miller. But the gaffer did not convince his audience. The legend of Bilbo's wealth now too firmly fixed in the minds of the younger generation of hobbits. But he has likely enough been adding to what he brought at first, argued the miller, voicing a common opinion. He's often away from home, and he look at the outlandish folk that visit him. Dwarfs coming at night, and that old wandering conjurer, Gandolf, and all you can say what you like, gaffer, but Baggins a queer place, and its folks are queerer. And you can say what you like about what you know no more of than you do of boating, Mr. Sandyman, retorted the gaffer, disliking the miller even more than usual. If that's being queer, then we could do with a bit more queerness in these parts. There's some not far away that wouldn't offer a pint of beer to a friend if they lived in a hole with golden walls. But they do things proper at Baggant. Now Sam says that everyone's going to be invited to the party, and others going to be presents. Mark you, presents for all. This very month it is. This very month as is. That very month was September, and as fine as you could ask, a day or two later, a rumour probably started by the knowledgeable Sam was spread about there were going to be fireworks. Fireworks! What is more, such as had not been seen in the Shire for nigh on a century, not indeed since the old Took died. Days passed, and the day drew near. An odd-looking wagon, laden with odd-looking packages, rolled into Hobbiton one evening, had toiled up the hill to Baggant. The startled hobbits peered out of lamplit doors to gape it out. It was driven by outlandish folk singing strange songs, dwarves with long beards and deep hoods. A few of them remained at Baggant. At the end of the second week of September, a cart came through Bywater from the direction of Brandywine Bridge in broad daylight. An old man was driving it all along. He wore a tall pointed blue hat, a long grey cloak, and a silver scarf. He had a long white beard and bushy eyebrows that stuck out beyond the brim of his hat. Small hobbit children ran after the cart all through Hobbiton and right up the hill. He had a cargo of fireworks. As they rightly guessed at Bilbo's front door, the old man began to unload. There were great bundles of fireworks of all sorts and shapes, each labelled with a large red G and the elf rune. That was Gandalf's mark, of course, and the old man was Gandalf the Wizard, whose fame in the Shire was due mainly to his skill with fires, smoke and lights. His real business was far more difficult and dangerous, but the Shire folk knew nothing about it. To them, he was just one of the attractions at the party, hence the excitement of the hobbit children. G for grand, they shouted, and the old man smiled. They knew him by sight, though he only appeared in Hobbiton occasionally and never stopped long. But neither they nor any but the oldest of the elders had seen of his firework displays. They now belonged to a legendary past. When the old man helped by Bilbo and some dwarves. He finished unloading. Bilbo gave a few pennies away, but not a single squeak. Oh, Cracker was forthcoming, to the disappointment of his onlookers. So that was almost 2 pages and a half. Next time, so we've read until page 25 about when Gandolf is actually coming to the Begand, when he's coming to make the fireworks. I hope you like this video. Once again, if you do want me to make videos like this or reading the Lord of the Rings like this, please leave comments and let me know about it. Thanks for watching and have a fantastic time. Bye.